cold start. Alright, well, we have a clean truck here that will be going out in the snow. Let's do it.
Good morning. What is up, everyone? How are you doing today? It's been a long time since my previous video, but I am starting to get back into the game right here, at least trying to. As you can see outside, it is snowing from this morning and up until now. Supposed to be a mix of snow and rain today, so unfortunately there's going to be some freezing rain, but the snow, I am okay with it. Otherwise the rain, not so much. Anyway, I wanted to take the time in this video to discuss the recently announced 2021 Chevy Tahoe and Suburban. As you've seen over the last, I believe, year or so, or year and a half, probably a year, the Chevy Silverado got a refresh, and now the Chevy Tahoe and the Suburban finally got a refresh as well. Excuse me, you see me looking at my phone over here because I am going to be looking at my notes. I am not going to attempt to drive and discuss these two vehicles while it's raining and snowing out there. Not safe to do so, folks. Just in a safe parking lot over here, nobody around, so we should be good to discuss this right here. One of the big changes for these two SUVs is you have a fully independent rear suspension now, which means this is not having a rear axle or a live axle in the back anymore. With the fully independent rear suspension, it's supposed to make the ride quality a little bit better, more comfortable. And not only that, this is also going to rival the Ford Expedition and the Ford Expedition Max. Due to converting over to a independent rear suspension, this is going to give the second and third row seats the opportunity to be a flat folding row of seats, increasing the cargo space by 66% in the Chevy Tahoe, and for the legroom in the third row has increased by 10 inches, which is pretty sweet if you ask me. If you were to look at some of the videos that are posted out there online on YouTube where people have actually attended the event in person, there was a little video that was being shown on one of the TVs over there that demonstrated the amount of legroom. If you also watched GM's announcement or their press conference, you'll see that they had mentioned this as well. Now, that being said, though, these two vehicles do increase in length and they're an inch taller than the previous generation. Now, you got three engine choices, one of them being the 5.3 liter V8 that puts out 355 horsepower and has dynamic fuel management with stop start. As far as the fuel management system and the stop start, that is also available in a 6.2 liter V8 that puts out 420 horsepower, but also a 3 liter diesel that puts out 277 horsepower. So yes, you do get an option to have a diesel engine within either one of these SUVs, depending on which one you like. If you want the extra length, if you like the extra size. Otherwise, if you want to stick with the smaller version but still want a full-size SUV, the Tahoe is a great choice to go with. That being said, there's also been some changes within the interior as well, but we'll go over that a little bit later. So I want to take the time to take a look at the design of the new Chevy Tahoe and Suburban altogether. So just from looking at some of the pictures for the Chevy Tahoe and the Suburban, as you can see on the front, they look very similar to what you would find on the Chevy Silverado. But when you look at the back, or actually, you know, before we go on to the back, looking at the sides, it does look very similar to what you would already find on the previous generation of the Tahoe Suburban right now that is currently still out in the market until this new one releases. I don't see the sides looking similar to what you would find on the Silverado that is currently out there right now, or the Sierra, but until you look at the back, it looks a little bit different. So similar to what you would find on the previous generation, but they actually put the model wording like Tahoe and Suburban underneath the Chevy emblem. Me personally, I think it looks cleaner on how it was before, where you just put it at one of the bottom corners of the tailgate. So for me, this part will take a little bit of getting used to. Otherwise, I do like the fact that they try to stay with the boxy look, but kind of give it a little bit of curve. So other than that, just looking on the rest of the vehicle itself on the outside, it looks pretty good in my opinion. not so drastic. I would say maybe it's at least 70% different, but then the remaining 30%, they still try to retain the look of what's currently already out there. Of course, the side mirrors, they're different from the Silverado, a little bit small on my taste. I would have liked them to be a little bit bigger, but no, this is an SUV, not a truck, although still similar to a truck, but SUVs are supposed to be a little bit more refined, a little bit more luxurious than a truck. Opinions are based, and depending on what you like is what you want to go for. Now, as far as the interior, so obviously they use the same steering wheel that was currently already in place of the Silverado. That's expected because they did that pretty much throughout the years of manufacturing their vehicles. But I will say the infotainment system, or the Infotainment Center, is completely different than what you would find in the current Silverado and Sierra as of right now. So in the past, we've seen GM put in their infotainment systems that look or are exactly similar to one another across all boards. Back in the early 2000s, you know, this is including the Chevy Tahoe, Suburban, Silverado, Sierra, Yukon, Yukon XL, Escalade even, and then up to the point when it's like the late 2000s, they kind of let the Escalade stand on its own point than the rest of the brands or the lineup that they have within their vehicle lineup. And then the late 2010s or 2010 after or 2012 after, they really differentiated the Escalade completely different, but all the other platforms still remain the same. If you were to compare them to one another, even this Colorado that I'm in right now, the Infotainment Center is similar to what you would find in like a Silverado, even the most current Silverado out there. But now the new Tahoe and Suburban have a 10-inch screen at the very top, and at the bottom is where you would have your radio controls and climate controls. I'm not 100% sure how I like about the position of the radio controls, but at least they were able to differentiate it some way where it's completely different from what you would find on the Silverado as of right now, because I know the Silverado, a lot of people weren't too crazy about the interior as there wasn't really that big of an improvement, but I would say in a Tahoe and Suburban, there's definitely a big improvement for sure. Other than that, everything else kind of looks similar to what you'll find on the Silverado. The seats, the headrests. This vehicle is a little bit more comfortable from what it sounds like, and a little bit more refined, and I'd be curious to see what these look like in person. As far as pricing and fuel economy is concerned, we don't have any of that info as of right now, but worst case, we're expecting that info to come out later this year, right? So we'll have to see what that looks like as the months go on. So what do I think of these two vehicles? Obviously, when every new vehicle comes out, most of the time it looks good, right? You might have some one-offs here and there where it's not the best looking vehicles out there. Me personally, I think these two vehicles look great, and it sounds very refined. I'm interested to see what these are going to look like in person and how these drive. As the months come out or go on, we're going to find out more info as far as release dates, pricing, fuel economy wise, but as of right now, this is all I have, and this is basically just my first impressions of the two vehicles together. What do you guys think? Feel free to leave a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. I am going to be starting to head into work as of right now, and hopefully I make it out of this weather we're in. Take care, guys.